Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People has sold just a staggering number of copies. But here's the thing, it's not just a list of life hacks. It's actually a really deep, coherent philosophy. So today we're going to skip the habits themselves, and instead we're going to uncover the powerful ideas underneath that make the book so timeless. And it all starts with a problem Covey saw everywhere, this feeling of empty success.
So Covey doesn't kick things off with a solution. He starts with a problem, a feeling that is, let's be honest, all too common today. It's that strange paradox of achieving everything you thought you wanted, only to look around and feel kind of hollow and unfulfilled.
This is the kind of thing Covey heard from people again and again. You know the story. It's the person who climbs that ladder of success, gets all the way to the top, and then realizes it's been leaning against the wrong wall the whole time. They won all these victories, but they felt empty because they sacrificed the things that, in the end, really mattered most. So, what went wrong?
Well, Covey's diagnosis is pretty profound. He actually studied 200 years of literature about success, and he noticed a massive shift. At some point, we moved away from what he called the character ethic and started chasing a much more superficial personality ethic. And this is where it gets really interesting. For the first 150 years or so, success was all about your inner character. Things like your integrity, your humility, your courage. But in the last 50 years, the focus totally shifted to this personality ethic. Public image, communication tricks, positive thinking techniques. Covey says these are just social band-aids. They might cover up the symptoms for a little while, but they do nothing to fix the real underlying problem.
And this Ralph Waldo Emerson quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly illustrates the flaw in the personality ethic. You can learn all the techniques in the world for how to influence people, but if your character is off, people feel it. In the long run, who you are communicates way more powerfully than anything you say or do.
Okay, so if quick fixes and techniques don't work, what is the real solution? Covey says that before we can change our actions, we have to change how we see the world. It's all about a fundamental shift in our perception, what he famously calls a paradigm shift.
Covey has this brilliant metaphor to explain what a paradigm is. Think of your paradigms, your personal beliefs, your understanding of how things work as a map. Now, a map isn't reality itself, right? It's just a model you use to navigate reality. And pretty much all of your attitudes and behaviors grow out of whatever map you're holding.
And here's the key. Imagine you're in the middle of Chicago, but you've been given a map of Detroit. You could try harder, you could double your speed, you could have the most positive attitude in the world. But it doesn't matter. Your efforts are just going to get you to the wrong place faster. The problem isn't your behavior or your attitude. The problem is you have the wrong map. So, if our paradigms are the maps, what's the territory? Covey says the territory is made of principles. These are unchanging natural laws, like fairness, integrity, honesty. They are the objective reality. And just like lighthouses, they don't move for anybody. Covey tells this amazing story about a battleship on maneuvers in the fog. The captain sees a light dead ahead on a collision course. He signals, "We are on a collision course. Advise you change course 20 degrees." A signal flashes back. "Advisable for you to change course." The captain is furious, and he sends again, this time pulling rank.
And there it is, the perfect punchline. The battleship's paradigm, its sense of its own power, its importance, its map of the situation, is slamming right into the unmovable reality of the territory. Principles, just like that lighthouse, they don't care about our rank or our opinions.
In the end, what do you think happened? There's only one option. The battleship changed course. Reality always wins. See, you can't break these natural laws. You can only break yourself against them. The only path to real effectiveness is to align our personal maps with the true territory of principles.
So, once you have that foundation in place, the 7 habits stop looking like a random list and start to look like a logical path of growth. Covey calls it the maturity continuum.
Think about it. We all start out in a state of dependence. The paradigm of you take care of me. The first 3 habits are all about moving us to independence. The paradigm of I can do it. I am responsible. That's what he calls the private victory. But here's the thing. That's not the end goal. The next 3 habits guide us to interdependence. The paradigm of we. We can work together to create something far greater than any of us could alone. And that is the public victory.
All right, finally, let's talk about one of the most powerful and practical ideas in the entire book. It's a principle that really ties everything else together, and Covey explains it perfectly with the old fable of the goose that laid the golden eggs.
He calls this the P/PC balance. P stands for production. Those are the results you want, the golden eggs. PC stands for production capability. That's the asset, the person, the thing that creates the results. That's the goose. Covey says that true effectiveness, long-term effectiveness, requires a constant balance between the two.
Covey tells this perfect little cautionary tale. So imagine a new owner buys a restaurant that's famous for its incredible clam chowder. He's totally focused on short-term profits, getting those golden eggs. So he decides to cut costs by watering down the recipe, just a little bit.
And for a month, it works. His costs are down, profits are way up. But he's completely neglecting his production capability. In this case, the restaurant's quality and the customer's trust. And pretty soon, people notice, and they stop coming.
In his frantic search for more golden eggs, he killed the goose. And this principle applies absolutely everywhere, in our health, our finances, our jobs, our relationships. If you only focus on getting the golden eggs, you'll eventually, inevitably, lose the ability to produce them at all.
And that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? That feeling of empty success. The entire philosophy behind the 7 Habits is a challenge to us. It asks us to really define our own golden eggs and, maybe more importantly, to protect and nurture our geese. It forces us to ask what truly matters. Because as Covey points out, who on their deathbed ever wished they'd spent more time at the office? The real question is, what capabilities in yourself, in your work, and in your relationships will you be glad you took care of?